There is something wrong in the approach that you're taking, which is the reason why you don't get that discipline that you've been so desperately trying to get. You've been trying to build the habits around it, and you've been trying to read books of all these intelligent people, all these productive people, all the people who you felt were so disciplined in their craft that discipline by itself is what gave them the results that they got. I know you've been cultivating discipline for a long time. You've been telling yourself that you need to do the things that are good for you, not just because they feel good. You've been trying to learn how to do the hard things and not just the easy things, so that your future you will reap the benefits of it. The reason you're not consistent is not because you lack discipline. There is something that is stopping you from being that disciplined person. That's what we're going to address. Who are you? Why do all of this? Why even have a goal at all? These questions maybe sound a bit too existential philosophical questions for you, but these kind of questions lay the foundations to cultivate discipline, not just for the sake of it, but with purpose and meaning. Because without purpose or meaning, all the discipline that you build is just slaving away for things that someone else thinks is right for you. If you don't have the knowledge to be able to comprehend the consequences of your actions, the impact that you make, the role that you play, for you to understand them, you need to have the knowledge and you need to have the consciousness to see how your mind works and what would I find meaning in, what would my purpose lie in, what if I do it will be better off than if someone else did. Because purpose can be defined in two ways. One, you do it because no one else will. That is a virtue that you give to the world, that okay, no one's gonna do it, so I gotta do it. And another way you can find purpose is if you don't do it, someone else will do it, so it better be me. So there you're offering something better for the world. This is just a side note that I thought when I said purpose. I had just said that discipline without meaning is just slaving away for something that someone else think is right for you. And modern life has conditioned us so much into thinking that it's okay, because we often go to work, we go to study, and like for exams and for the money and everything, why we do it, we try to build a discipline for it, we try to not miss classes, we try to be on the workplace at the right time, and these things require a bit of a discipline, and you're building this discipline for someone else's goals, for something that you're not particularly passionate of course there are some people that are passionate about it. I'm not talking to them, I'm talking to you who don't find it passionate enough to do those things. And like the life that we lived that way made us conditioned into thinking that okay, someone else will give me the advice on what I should do, then I will do it. You want someone else to tell you that, you want someone else to tell you what is right, because if you think for yourself once, if you just made the decision yourself and it ends up being wrong, you can't forgive yourself for it. And that also comes from a childhood thing, or the way you were parented and everything. I myself had the problem where I don't want to make the final decision for myself or for any matter in that regard. I find it really difficult because I remember as a child that I was criticized pretty much for making the wrong decisions at the wrong times, for making the decisions by myself and then failing. I didn't really have that much room for mistakes, although when I grew up I realized those mistakes and I was able to understand and be a parent for myself, so that I can tell myself that it's okay to make decisions and them turning out wrong. It's okay, because we all make mistakes, that's what life is all about. But when you've grown up without understanding that, because your parents didn't really give you room for mistakes or time, because they wanted to rush things when you wanted to take it slow and take time. But it's people, okay, they did everything in their power to give us the lives that we have, but maybe they were not good parents, but we can try to be better parents ourselves. That's not the topic of this video. It is that we're afraid of making the decisions for ourselves, for our lives. And often we look at people who are having a harder life and we think to ourselves that okay, for them the motivation is very clear, because they don't really have a choice nor the time to consider the options between not doing it and doing it. They just gotta do it, and that's why they're able to do it because of their depths of hardships. They just don't have the choice. They don't think two times, they just do it, and often they accomplish more. People who have it harder than you do better because their situation is much more intolerable than yours. Your comfort is actually stopping you from doing a lot of things. And sometimes we wish, don't we, like if only we could press some button and get into that mindset where we are just tunnel visioned on the thing that we actually want to do, but we just can't do it. I mean, there are people who can do it, but it is really difficult. As far as I have tried for years, and there is definitely something that you can do to give yourself the meaning behind that discipline. This self-help culture, the self-improvement culture, these communities, these people, these online gurus, they have converted this whole thing, these good habits, the discipline, the consistency, everything into some stuff where it's just about five tricks and tips to be more productive. And you look at a video, let's say you're struggling with porn addiction, and you watch these nofap videos and they give you tips and tricks to not relapse. But what they should have done you is give you the real philosophy, the because it's not about not relapsing today, tomorrow. It's not about surviving each day. It's about not having to want to do it, because it often comes from a lack somewhere in your life, something that is missing from your life, and you haven't addressed that because you're busy trying not to relapse every single day. And sometimes what we do is we use these push to get things done. For example, I would just lock myself in a room to study that unit 2, which I find very difficult, of particle physics. I could do it maybe once or twice a year. How long would that work? How long can I restrict myself so that I can get things done? That wouldn't be what you want. That is not the ideal situation. That is not the equilibrium state that you're striving for. The the default that we want to have usually would be one where we wouldn't have to think about it. We would actually want to do it. We would actually want to get it done. That is the ideal state that we would want to attain. Because the discipline that you're looking for, if you're trying to sustain it with willpower, it's always an uphill journey. But if you don't need willpower to maintain that discipline, because now you find it purposeful to do the things that you want to do. That's why I keep telling you that don't follow the wrong advice, don't look at the wrong people and try to do what they are doing, because sometimes people got their success with the things that they did. And I'm using success in a very vague, ambiguous way, because your goals could be very different, or you could be very specific about your goals. But what I want you to understand is that just because someone who got successful doing something doesn't mean that you have to follow that same exact thing, or you don't really have to follow everything that person says. If you build, again, this is all about reasoning. It's all about being able to understand and differentiate between the things that you need to follow and the things that you don't. For that, you need to be able to have a brain which is capable of thinking properly. For that, you need to have to reduce the brain fog, which means that you'll have to reduce the carb intake that you take. You need to watch your diet, stop eating too much junk food, exercise more regularly, and also you have to stop consuming all this content that is out there. You're constantly stimulating your brain with all that information that is out there, and what all of this does is it just restricts your capacity of the brain to be able to reason, to be able to understand, to be able to differentiate, to be able to dissect these things. And when you're unable to do that, you often try to, oh please, if only someone tell me exactly how to make money, then I would just do it, right? Really, bro? Come on, think about it. Even if someone gave you the step by step, you still wouldn't do it, because the reason you're not doing it is not because of the how, but because of the why. Because you just if you found the actual reason, and the if you had the reason for it, you'd have the drive for it, and if you had the drive for it, you'll still figure out the how. I remember when I would hit these burnouts, and I would try to just get things done by the how, by just getting it done, and like how would I do it. But if I took the time to reset, for my brain to, for my mind to get that vibe back, get that drive back, get that motivation back, if I waited for it, I would have made better stuff. But as you focus on the how, you push yourself more and more and more, and the why just like has less emphasis when you try to focus on the how, and you don't recover fast from those burnouts. It may seem like I'm going all over the place, but what I want you to understand is that as long as you don't find the meaning and the purpose behind why you are cultivating the discipline, as long as you don't, you're going to find it harder and harder to sustain the discipline and the consistency that you keep, because without meaning, once again, you're slaving away for something that someone else thinks is right for you. And if you've had parents that stick around, you know how you don't really want to do what they tell you to do. And in the same way, this is the same thing. You're just continuing on that trend that someone else is telling you to do, and you try to become disciplined for it. Now you're just not looking at your parents, you're looking at someone else on YouTube because you think they have what you want. I've stuff written down here. I think I'll become an author actually. I think I'm going to write a book and I'm going to publish it, which you guys are going to learn a lot from. So once you find the thing that you find purposeful, the way you're going to emphasize, the way you're going to boost that meaning and purpose is by not indulging in other things that would take away that motivation, that emphasis. Basically, things that distract you. Like I said earlier, scrolling habits, social media, movies, and everything. I mean, I still watch movies here and there, and like I spend time with my friends. Sometimes we stay up late watching movies, sometimes. But the point of it is that everything you do, you pay a price for. And you gotta be able to say, I accept the consequences of my actions. This is something I learned, which is that whenever I'm indulging in something, I should tell myself before that I, by doing this, accept the consequences that this action will bring me. That builds up accountability. Once you are able to do the things that you want to do, you gotta eliminate the things that you shouldn't have in your life and prioritize other things that would help you attain this. That would be sleeping more. Give yourself a 9-hour sleeping window, because now you have less things to do, right? So prioritize your sleep, read more books, watch videos that like this one, which gives you insights without much of dopamine hacking and retention hacking and stuff. I hate that stuff. Honestly, I used to do that shit, but I couldn't care less anymore. By the style of this video, you probably already understood that this is not for those normal people. If you watch till now, you know what you're looking for. You know where you are. You know how different you are from the crowd, because they can't watch this shit, man. They can't tolerate any kind of boredom. There is another video which I posted about boredom. I think this is the video is titled, I think, I live a boring life, and here's why you should too. That's the video. You can probably go watch. I can put it here, guys. There's more videos on the channel. I think you'll find it useful, and that's about it for this video.